Today's video is brought to you by the Berkey guy at GoBerkey.com. Water is essential to survival, and purifying it is a must. Purchase your Berkey water purification system from the Berkey guy today at GoBerkey.com. Click the link below. Civil war is undoubtedly coming to America, but the question is when, how, and why? And in my personal opinion, civil war will come with a real war overseas, another war on par with what we saw during World War I and World War II. Why? Why would that be? Well, the powers that be and the establishment, the last thing that they realistically want is a divisive civil war here in the United States of America. Sure, they want to radicalize a given portion of the movement. They'd love to throw you in jail. They'd love it if you gave them a reason to take away your freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, your right to self-defense, etc., if you in fact give them that reason. Now, we see leadership and a lot of angst rising in the ranks right now, whether or not it's Occupy Wall Street or it's the Liberty Movement itself, and it's people growing just angry over the current situation. But in addition to that, a realistic civil war break apart of the states and secession movement really won't take hold until there is also an economic collapse in this country that follows up what we experienced in 2008, which will make that look like a church picnic. It's exactly why the federal government and the big banks and Wall Street aren't going to let it happen in the not too distant future. It's why they will keep interest rates at zero as long as they possibly can before we have an official sovereign default here in the USSA. They can do this for a very long time, keep in mind. We look at Japan, for instance, they've had a lost decade or two where interest rates have been abundantly low and there's been really no growth. People like Bill Gross in the bond fund world talk about this all the time. So how much longer can they keep the Ponzi scheme going is the question that you should ask yourself. They can do it a lot longer than you think. And it's exactly why we need to play smart. It's exactly why liberty lovers and freedom lovers in America need to be smart about their approach. And they need to be, more importantly, smart about the message that they are delivering to the viewing public. A, don't fall into a trap. It's exactly what the establishment wants. B, don't give the establishment a reason to blacklist you, blacklist freedom and liberty altogether, and to put the image or paint the picture in the vast majority of Americans' minds that anyone that has anything to do with freedom and liberty is some kind of crackpot tinfoil hat wearing lunatic, which is exactly how they'll frame it and is exactly what the establishment and how they're painting the picture today. You know, we need to be smart. We need to have a strategy. We need to understand that we are involved in an information war. That getting information out to Americans and people around the world about the truth of the criminal nature of our federal government and the criminal nature of these politicians and banksters, to make that abundantly clear to the American people and those of you tuning in around the world, is a very powerful tool. Ideas are the most successful weapon against tyranny, and it's exactly why the mainstream media has been bought and sold by the establishment from the very beginning. But that's all changing, and that destabilization effect, that change in technology, the fact that we now are more empowered than we ever have been in the history of man, is an exciting new frontier. It is why, by all means, we need to be strategic and we need to be smart about the message that we're portraying to the American people. And we also have to be cognizant, it's just like trying to catch a mouse in a rat trap, don't fall for it. Although that cheese looks attractive, let's be smart about how we take that piece of cheese. Let's be smart about how we influence public opinion and we convey our message of freedom and liberty, and we convey the obvious and abundant tyranny that is being inflicted on the American people and people around the world. Because what's coming to America undoubtedly is not just civil war, but is a global war which in my opinion has already begun. We see the invasion of Libya. We see the civil war taking place in Syria today. These conflicts in the Middle East have just begun. And it's all a part of this boiling pot of water, this conflict and controversy meant to distract the American people for the real root causes and the real root tyranny here at home, which is the obvious enemy. The obvious enemy is our politicians in the White House and Capitol Hill. That's the problem. We can't get anything done. The establishment would very likely and very well may indeed, as we see with Benghazi and the IRS scandal, they would position Obama for a fall long before they would allow civil war to take place in this country to placate the American people and conservatives and libertarians that somehow we had a victory and somehow we had a short-term win on the horizon. But they would only simply replace that leadership with the same leadership that was already in power. It's all about perception. Democrats, Republicans are no different. It's the system structurally that is completely devolved and disconnected and is the problem itself. We need to address the structural disease first, build out from there, and then restore that constitutional republic to the best of our ability. I'm Christopher Greene. You've been watching Greene Wave TV, alternative media television, and I just delivered the Daily Wave, hard-hitting and in your face. If you like this video, please share it everywhere across your social media networks. Follow us at YouTube at cgreen34, on Facebook at Greene Wave TV, and our Twitter account at Greene Wave. Hard-hitting and in your face.